Hey guys, the news just came out that Charlie Kirk's been shot. I don't know Charlie Kirk. Never had the pleasure of meeting Charlie Kirk. Based on the videos he made, based off of all the debates he's had, I was a huge fan of Charlie Kirk. And I don't think I've ever felt bad or anything when I've heard of people getting shot or anything like that, celebrities, anybody that's not related to me. I'm just like, man, it's part of life. And so, for the first time, I feel sad. I feel angry, extremely upset. And I don't know if I'm sad, angry, upset because Charlie's been shot or because I'm afraid of where that leads our country, you know? We let's just start at Bush, right? What happened under Bush? He was stupid, retarded. He was this, he was that. The amount of horrible things that was said about Bush, whether you liked him or not, was astounding. You can fast forward through the Obama years because not much was said about him. Yeah, was there, people pointing out everything he was doing wrong? Yeah, but there was nobody from the right coming after him, calling him anything extreme. It was a lot of criticisms. So fast forward through Obama, get to Trump, and all of a sudden, man, Nazi, Hitler, homophobe, transphobe, racist. He's going to put you back in chains. He's going to put you back on the plantation. He's going to take away your Social Security. He wants to unalive all trans people. All these horrible things started being said under Trump 1, accusing every conservative that voted for Trump, and including our own president, of being all these horrible things simply because we don't agree with them. Not 1 ounce of evidence has ever been shown that these people are correct in anything they have said or accused us conservatives of being. But they say them. And they say them on the legacy media, CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, CBS, PBS, on all the leftist podcasts, from Destiny to Hassan Piker to the Krasensteins. You can keep going. The TRTs, The View, our politicians, our Democrat politicians repeat it. All these horrible, extremely defamatory, slanderous things started being said under Trump 1, with nothing to back it. None. No action. Not even words being said. Nothing. You go through Biden. It didn't ramp up. It stayed about the same. And what were conservatives pointing out? Dude, he's old. He's senile. He's not running the country. How can he? Look at him. Just pay attention to him. Look at our border. They're letting in millions of people a year. What is going on? Pointing out the obvious. just pointing out the economy is trash. Inflation has gone up 200-300% in a span of 3 to 4 years. Just pointing out things that people see and are experiencing. That's what conservatives were doing. What's the worst thing a conservative calls a Democrat or a leftist? A libtard? A snowflake? Things that attack them individually. But what are the Democrats with the media, the politicians, these paid podcasters? What do? They label every single person that disagrees with them racist, Nazis, Hitler sympathizers, Putin puppets, transphobes, Islamophobes, homophobes. They're going to put y'all back in chains. They're going to put y'all back on the plantation. They're trying to eliminate all trans people. The amount of horrible things that these people say about conservatives simply for disagreeing with them. No other reason, just simply disagreeing with them. No actions, not even words coming out of a conservative's mouth indicating any of that. Just simply disagreeing. Simply saying, hey, we think trans is a mental state. And in times of past, up until about 5 years ago, it was considered a mental disability to be a trans person. That's what the entire medical industry identified it as up until about 5 fucking minutes ago. But because you point out something like that, that was a unanimous consensus up until science and medical and hospitals and everything became fucking politicized. Everything became politicized. Now, just for pointing out that one thing, you're transphobic and you're trying to erase all trans people from this earth. No. We're just pointing out what has been obvious throughout all of history. Saying, hey, we need to close the border and remove as many of these people as possible because we don't know who they are and they're killing our economy by siphoning off all of our money through handouts. And then they're having more kids. They're actually coming in with a visa, overstaying their visa, having a child here, using that child as an anchor baby. So then they're de facto U.S. citizens, but not the right way, the complete wrong way. And just by pointing that out and saying that's wrong, we hate all immigrants. We hate them all, right? That's what they say. By just wanting to know who's coming to our country and wanting people to come to our country, but to do it the right way. Now we hate all immigrants, all foreigners. And I can keep going on and on and on, example after example after example, where it's nothing but a disagreement. And these people continuously point us conservatives as the most vile, disgusting human beings on earth. And so you have somebody like Charlie Kirk, who I don't know. I've never had the pleasure of meeting him. I've seen hundreds, if not thousands of hours of his content because I like his debates. I like the way he talks. I like the way that he engages with people. I like the way that people who disagree with him, he invites them to the front. So that way he's not in an echo chamber and he's hearing opposition voices. Now he's been shot, and we don't know if he's alive. And what did he do? What exactly did he do? He just disagreed with you. He disagreed with them. All he said is, I disagree with you. I'm pro-gun because of this. I'm anti-homeless because of that. I'm for closed borders because of this. I'm not for the war for Russia and Ukraine. He says, I support Israel because of this. Right? Now, I didn't agree with the guy on everything, but I agreed with him on a lot. And nowhere in my mind or in the normal person's mind would it ever come across to attempt to murder this person because we disagree. But you have these legacy outlets who have been propped up by politicians, by NGOs, by pharmaceutical companies, all out there convincing people that this man is the second coming of Hitler. I'm sorry, the third. Because if you pay attention to these people, Trump is the second coming of Hitler. But what have they done? What have they said outside of a simple disagreement and not outside of a simple disagreement and not being willing to bend to your way of thinking and saying, look, we disagree and that's fine. We don't have to agree. That's not how life works. You're never going to fully agree with anybody 100%. But we can respect each other. And for that, because he refused to bend the knee and accept the thought and the ideas of these people, they go and they shoot him. Now, there's videos of the guy that they caught, this older white man. There's a good chance he was a professor. I don't know him, never seen him. Pretty sure he's a professor at one of those universities. And so you have these educational institutions that are pushing this ideology, this hateful ideology onto our college-aged kids, our young men and women. And we're wondering why they're coming out of college with so much anger, so much hate, so much discontent for the country that they live in, that they get to enjoy every single freedom, the country where every other citizen of every other country wants to come to. They risk their lives, they risk their fortunes, they risk their kids' lives to come here. But these people hate our country. And they don't know why they hate it. They just hate it. They grew up privileged. They grew up fed, sheltered, running water, clean water, electricity, stable electricity, roads, free public schools. Our healthcare system may not be free, but you're never denied. Now, if you need a cosmetic surgery, your ass is getting denied. For the most part, we live safe unless you live in a neighborhood that tends to be diversified. One more time, somebody would call me a white supremacist for saying and pointing out the obvious. And look at me, I'm not white. So I am angry. I am sad. And part of me is slightly fearful. And I don't know if that has to do with Charlie possibly being gone, or if it's because of what it can lead to within our country. Right now, there's going to be a lot of calls from a lot of people to take a lot of action. I will not be one of them. I am not going to call for the media to be dismantled. You got to break up every single media outlet. You got to go after all of these podcasters that draw up hate. No, I'm not going to do that, because I do believe in freedom of speech. No matter how horrible that speech is, you should be able to say what you want, when you want, how you want. But it should not be funded by any taxpayer money. And any outlets, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, PBS, and all of them, they should no longer have any free reign to use the open airways to spew hate. If you're going to spew hate, it should cost you money. There should be a cost associated with it. For too long, these companies have had a monopoly on 95%, if not more, of the broadband spectrum that we use for the airwaves. They get these leases at pennies on the dollar of what they should be charged. And so they have a right to go online and spew it for free. That's why you have YouTube, social media. Everybody does that. But when you have a public utility like the airwaves, you should not be able to go on there and spew and say such horrendous things free of charge. If you want it to be free, go on social media. Open up your own webpage. But if you're going to use a public utility, then you're going to have to pay. Say whatever you want, how much you want, how often you want. Create your own YouTube or Rumble channel and say all the hateful things you want. But when you have a public utility, like the open broadcast system, no, you can't. You're reaching too many people free of charge. And this is a tool, it's a weapon. The open broadcast system is a weapon. It's designed to reach millions and billions of people and to convince them of what you want them to be convinced of at that time. So I am not going to be somebody who calls for censorship. What I am going to be calling for is liability. I am going to be calling for these institutions to have to pay a price if they want to continue spewing hate. And if they want to spew it for free, there's a lot of outlets, a lot of social media platforms. They can create their own web pages and do that for free. You can run out in the street and do that for free. You can write it on a sign, Trump is Hitler, and stand out in a corner and do it for free. But what you cannot continue doing is using a public utility, the open broadcast system, and do it to make money. And in that process, to hypnotize 50% of the population of what you want them to be hypnotized about because of fucking politics. That's what this is all about, guys. This is all about politics. All this is nothing more than politics. You have one side who knows they have no good idea, so their only solution to winning is to paint the other side as the most vile thing you can think of. And by doing so, that's hopefully pushing off a lot of people that would be interested in their ideas. They're pushing them away from them. That's all it is. We got to shut these people up. They make too much sense. And by doing so, by talking to all these people, they're opening up their mind. So we got to shut them up. Well, if we can't silence them, what we do is we just make it to where nobody wants to even talk to these people. They don't want to see them. The very thought of their name makes you want to puke. And how do you do that? By innuendo. Identity destruction. You have to destroy these people's identity, who they are. You have to convince these people that these people are so horrible you never want to associate with them. If you ever see them, you don't ever want to go up to them and talk to them and say, hey, why do you believe what you believe, bro? Can we talk? No, what you should do is go and spit in their fucking face and try to punch a Nazi in the mouth and show them bastards, right? Isn't that what they have not been saying? Isn't that what they've been saying? Is that not what they have been doing? Identity destruction. And they know that these people that pay attention to them, they know they're weak-minded. And they know that without any research, they're going to believe what they were told because it's coming from the TV. And the TV doesn't lie. It can't lie. That can't be legal. And then you have people like me where we learned a long time ago that all the fucking TV does is lie. The people on the TV, they all lie. It's all set up. It's all orchestrated. It's all a lie. It's all politics. Everything in our fucking life became politics. You can't watch a football game. I used to love football. I used to watch the Dallas Cowboys every fucking Sunday. Monday Night Football. And then what did they do? They brought in politics. The halftime show, before the game, after the game, they're talking fucking politics. I used to love watching the NBA. I'm from San Antonio. I was a Spurs fan. And then what do you have? You have fucking Greg Popovich during the game talking politics. Before and after the game talking politics. Black Lives Matter jerseys. Fucking messages on the field and on the basketball court. I don't watch that to be preached to or to learn a political message. I watch that for entertainment. But God forbid, I just want to not think for 2 fucking hours. But they had to take it away. They had to take away my 2 hours of enjoyment of not having to fucking think. Of just being able to yell at a TV at people that don't see me, that can't hear me, but I'm still gonna yell at the fucking TV to be set the pick better, shoot the fucking ball, pass the ball. Because I didn't want to think, guys. But they took that away from me. Not just from me, but they took it away from everybody. And so now I don't watch football. I don't watch basketball. I don't care about neither. Because they took it away from me. I can't go to the fucking movies without some bullshit political message being shoved up my ass from that movie. I can't watch a fucking Netflix show, a fucking Hulu show without some political, non-binary bullshit being shoved up my fucking ass. I can't go to work because our HR departments are shoving that fucking political, non-binary shit up our ass. And every year, I have to take a 1-hour fucking training on harassment. Every fucking year. a 1 hour training. God forbid that training pauses for more than 2 to 3 minutes. If I step away, then I gotta start again. God forbid I have to pee and I take longer than 2 to 3 minutes, then it starts again. So I am taught how not to harass somebody. Everything in our lives, our fucking schools that the kids go to, our kids cannot go to a school without having some teacher, some principal, some district man, councilman, somebody trying to shove their political fucking bias up their ass. Everything in our life is not failing because of anything outside of people have made their politics everybody's business. And the truth is, it doesn't need to be everybody's business, guys. Have conversations. Talk to people who want to talk about that, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. They just want to live a life of ignorance, and there's nothing wrong with that. People who want to be ignorant, allow them to be ignorant. But they shouldn't vote. They shouldn't be able to, because if they don't know what's going on, how can they accurately vote? Choice, solution. Not everything in life has to involve politics. But this is where we are. The mainstream media, the legacy media, has, in collusion with the Democrat Party politicians, have turned everything into politics. Everywhere we look, politics. Everything we do, politics. When really people just want to live a life and they want to engage with politics when the time is right. But it's everywhere now. And because it's everywhere and it's consumed, because it's everywhere and because it's so heavily consumed by mentally unstable people, these people are convinced that they're doing God's work. That man, I guarantee you, when they interview him, he's going to be convinced he did God's work. And there's a good chance he's probably an atheist or a paganist or some bullshit like that, right? And so, in his head, if it wasn't for God, he was doing it. He did it because he was convinced it was the right thing to do for society. Because his life was consumed by the politics of hate that have been shoved up his ass every minute of the fucking day by these legacy news outlets and by these Democrat politicians. Nicotine. I'm really sad, man. And you have these people, Kamala Harris. I am deeply disturbed by the shooting in Utah. Doug and I send our prayers to Charlie Kirk and his family. Let me be clear, political violence has no place in America. I condemn this act, and we must all work together to ensure this does not lead to more violence. 2 days ago, she was just saying every hateful thing I've already mentioned and more. She does not believe anything she just wrote. Anything. She doesn't believe it. She's saying it because it's good politics. She's trying to run for the governor of California. And there's whispers she's trying to make another run for presidency in 2028. That's politics. Because just 2 days ago, she was saying the absolute opposite. Everything I just said is what she was saying. I am sad. I am sad. I don't know. I don't know the guy. Never met him. But he seemed like a good guy. He brought a lot of open discussion and allowed people to voice their opinions when he didn't have to. He allowed people who disagreed with him to talk to him first before anybody that supported or agreed with him. That was his crime. His crime was allowing people to say what they believed in disagreement, and then he would talk about it. And for that, Kamala Harris and everybody in her political party called him a Nazi, a Hitler, transphobe. He's trying to eliminate all trans people, homophobe, Islamophobe, Zionist, everything horrible just 2 days ago. And then from that, 2 days before that. And then from that, 2 days before that. That's where I'm at, guys. I got the goosies right now because I am angry. I am. I'm very angry. But do not fall into this whole censorship bullshit. The solution to this is not going to be censorship laws, hate laws, all this bullshit laws. That's not going to fix the problem. What Charlie Kirk was doing, that was the solution to the problem. More speech, more dialogue, more talking to more people that disagree with you so they see that you're not a monster. You're not what these people claim you are. That you're just somebody with a different thought process. Because when you go line by line, guys, Democrats, Republicans, we agree on 9 out of 10 things. Neither one of us wants homeless. We both believe we need to solve homelessness. Where we defer is in process. None of us want drugs on our streets. Where we defer is in process to fix the problem. None of us want extreme debt. Nobody thinks America being $37 trillion in debt outside of our stupid fucking politicians, Democrat and Republican, think that's a good idea. But where we disagree is the solution to the fix. You understand? You can go line by line by line by line by line. And we agree on almost everything. Where we disagree, guys, is with the solution process. Homelessness, for example, conservatives say, hey, sorry, homeboy, you can't camp here. You want to be homeless? Get the fuck out. Go camp. Go camp in El Centro somewhere in the middle of a field where nobody lives. But you can't camp here in the middle of the city. Our kids walk these sidewalks. Our kids shouldn't have to walk through piss and poo and all your trash and hepatitis B on the fucking floor. The Democrats, on the other hand, like, no, you got to be compassionate. They're going through hard times. So yeah, what we should do is give them a free house. And you're like, what? So you're telling me in order to get a free house, all I got to do is become homeless and a drug addict? That's where we disagree, guys. We disagree on the process to the solution. But we all agree on the fucking solution. We all agree. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, we all agree. Don't be one of those people that gets suckered into this, calls for censorship. Absolutely not. If anything, I want more people out there saying more things, more shit that I don't agree with. Because that's when you really have free speech and freedom of expression, is when the people that say the things you don't like, they have that ability to say it. That is true freedom of speech. It's not when the people you agree with get to say the same shit you've been saying. That's not freedom of speech. That's an echo chamber. That's all I got. That's all I got, man. I'm very sad for my country right now because I don't know where this leads. I have an idea. I'm going to let it play out for a day, and then I might come back and throw some thoughts on it. I do think that there's going to be calls for censoring these people that say such horrible things. I will not be one of them. I will not participate with that. Absolutely not. Call me any ugly name you want. Just don't get near me and do that. You want to call me a wetback, a speck, a traitor, an Uncle Tom? I don't care, guys. My mom called me worse growing up. Just don't say it in my face, in my bubble. Because once you get in my bubble, I will react. But if you want to say it, you want to go to my social media page and call me those things, who cares? Who cares? Yeah, that's all I got, man.